Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new Helldivers 2 video game that Sony put out a couple weeks ago. I know I'm behind, but man do I love this game. So before we get into it, I am just really shocked by how good this game is, because when I watched the initial trailer when they first announced it a few months ago, it looked really mid. It looked like just another basic, boring, soulless, microtransaction-filled live service game. And man, was I wrong. Are there microtransactions? Yes. But soulless is the furthest thing from Helldivers 2. Probably I would have never actually even played the game if it wasn't for my boy, The Suited Bird, whose channel I'll link in the description below if you want to check him out. He just randomly hit me up one day and asked me if I had Helldivers, and we started talking about it, and I was like, you know what, actually, this sounds super fun. I want to try it out, and now I'm obsessed. I just got done streaming, and I streamed for almost 3 hours, but on top of that, I probably also spent 4 to 6 hours playing with my boys earlier today as well. It's just so good. And let me tell you this, you have not lived until you've dropped down onto enemy base with the boys while Welcome to the Jungle plays in the background. It is just so cool. But on top of that, there's this whole message of fascism and propaganda and how it can be used against people. And you know what? That propaganda works, okay? I have never felt so patriotic for a made-up universe. I would die for Super Earth, and I mean that. But seriously, not only is it this really fun game, this whole, like, over-exaggerated patriotism is so funny. Like, on your armor stand, on the floor, it says democracy and liberty. When you land, your character might say something like, "Liberty has arrived." I just love how the devs are playing with this idea of patriotism in a fascist, propaganda-filled society. Another note is, like, really, we're the bad guys, and we are conquering the galaxy. But when you go to the Galaxy War map to pick your mission, it says liberated instead of conquered. It's little details like this that just give this game so much soul, so much character. And talking about the galaxy map, what a cool concept. Every player is fighting the same war, and everyone is making a contribution to this galaxy-wide conquest. Liberation. You can see the progress as people are making their way through fighting the planets, how much you've liberated. And there are different battlefronts across the galaxy, and right now there's only 2 opposing factions, the Automatons and the Terminids. But I believe there's for sure one other faction that was in the first game that hasn't appeared yet. I don't know much about them, but I am assuming that they will play a larger role as the game moves forward. But on to the actual enemies. I did not know the Automatons were actually a part of the game. I didn't see them in the initial trailer. Maybe they were there, maybe I missed them, maybe they were hiding, or maybe the devs were waiting to launch to show them off to keep it a surprise. And I'd also never even heard of Helldivers before Helldivers 2, so I had no context on the first game. But I went to the galaxy map, and I saw Terminids, and then on the other side of the map there were the Automatons, and I was like, wait, there's a whole other faction? And that's where I went first. Total mistake, by the way. And I didn't even realize, like, I'd never really played before, I didn't know what I was doing. I landed directly on an enemy base, shot up, immediately died. Within seconds was killed. Yes, it kind of sucked because it's like, oh man, I literally just spawned in and I'm already dead. But at the same time, it was so cool because it's like, not a lot of games would give you that experience. Dropping in directly on an enemy base and dying, 100% my fault, not the game's fault. It's all a part of this learning curve that I think the game does really, really well. When I was streaming, I played solo for my first time, and I want to talk about solo versus multiplayer here in a minute, but it was my first time playing solo. I'd been playing multiplayer with the boys all day, and I was super cocky. I was like, we've destroyed all these Terminids, Automatons. It's been great. I know what I'm doing. I landed, destroyed again. And so I retried the mission on a lower difficulty. I originally was on medium, dropped it to easy, destroyed again. And like there was a moment where I was almost going to give up, like, oh, then maybe this is too hard to play solo. And I thought, no, I'm going to go fight some Terminids instead. And it was hard still, but I got it. And then I completed another mission and didn't lose as many of my reinforcements that time, and another and another and another, and it started to get easier. And yes, that is how most video games go, but I really just love, like I said, the power creep and how you learn this game. It's handled very well. It's very punishing, but also very forgiving at the same time. Like I said, landed in an enemy base, got killed immediately. But then you have reinforcements. You have a certain number of respawns that it gives you to kind of negate that. And I don't know. It's just so fun. And the enemy types are really unique. It's a totally different experience fighting the Terminids versus the Automatons. And I love that because I think it's going to really help keep the game fresh, especially when this third faction that I mentioned comes into play, I don't know, next season, the following season, whenever. Strategies to fight them are different. What weapons you want to bring in are different. And I just love this. And I was talking about this on my stream last night, but it reminds me in terms of like actual missions and how the game like works, it reminds me a lot of Warframe in the sense that you have your own ship, you pick a planet you want to go to. On the planet, then you pick a mission, you go, you do the mission, you extract, you leave. When you look at it very basically, they're very similar, but at the same time, the games operate very differently. They're still very different games. What I love about Helldivers over Warframe is the fact that we have the Galaxy map, Galaxy Civil War, Galaxy War, whatever it's called map, that you can actually see the progress on, like I was mentioning earlier. And that in itself, I think is going to help me stay hooked longer, because I'm actually seeing the progress of not just me, but every other player in this galactic conflict. Solo versus multiplayer, totally different experiences, and I really like that. Again, you're still going through and doing the same thing, but the difficulty is drastically different between, you know, playing by yourself and playing with the boys. There's an escort mission where you have to essentially hit some buttons, tell some people, hey, it's safe to come out. They run, go to a ship, and you just have to protect them while you're doing that. With 3 people, super easy. Each one of you mans a door to hit the button to get people to leave. At the same time, you're fighting, protecting different angles. Super manageable as a team. Solo, at least for me, completely impossible. I've not been able to beat one of these missions solo, even after lowering the difficulty, because there are enemies just coming from all different directions, and you're trying to manage holding them off while also helping people escape and protecting them. And I don't know, I really love that there's almost these unique experiences between solo and multiplayer while still being the exact same game. Leveling up feels amazing. I love I think they're called Stratacons? Stratacams? I have no idea. The thing, your support items that you can call down, they are so helpful, and I love the fact that there's so many of them, and you can build different builds around them and the weapons that you take in, and I love the way that you actually get them, that as you level up, you're not just given new ones. Like, you get to save up your coins, whatever the in-game currency for that specific thing is. I think that's the supplies. You save them up, and then you buy the one you want. I'm sure if you play long enough, you can unlock all of them. But you have the choices, and that is phenomenal. And again, on the solo versus multiplayer aspect of it, I found myself taking a completely different build playing solo than I did when I was playing with the boys. I kind of touched on this earlier, but the whole aspect of having different builds, you want to take different builds if you're fighting the Automatons or the Terminids. Like, specifically on that, there is a electric rifle. I can't remember what it's called. It's arc something. I'm so sorry. I'm still kind of new at this. But it fires an electric bolt that will hit enemies and then chain between them. It is disgusting. It is such a good gun. On solo, saying you can't kill your teammates. A multiplayer, it's so easy to kill your friends. Like other weapons, sure, you shoot your friends, they die, it happens. But you can kind of, if you see your teammate running across your screen, you can just stop firing for a second. If you fire the arc, you don't know where it's going to chain. It may chain to the right and go hit some more automatons, or it might chain to the left and hit your friend. So again, just totally different builds for what you're doing. And then I found that this arc weapon works really good against the automatons versus with the Terminids, you may want to take a flamethrower, which is, again, phenomenal at just killing them, but doesn't work so great against the automatons. So you're constantly thinking about what build do I want to take, what weapons are going to help me out, even with what missions you're going to do. Like, are you going to go destroy a platform? Do you need some heavy artillery that you can fire down from your ship? Or are you just going to go, readjust some fuel tanks because they're shut down? I don't know. It sounds a lot less epic, but it is something you have to do sometimes. I don't know. I really love it, and I think there's some really great room to expand and create a much larger, more in-depth experience. But I probably should talk about some of the negatives. This game definitely is not perfect. One super glaring issue is the fact that it's really hard to get into servers. The suited bird, when we were playing earlier today, I think sat in a queue for like an hour and a half before he was actually able to get into the game, which sucks. I've been playing on PlayStation, and I have had some server issues, but definitely nothing that bad. Maybe they're saying it is a Sony game. They might be prioritizing the PlayStation servers. I don't know. But I've still had some pretty long wait times, just not that long. Then it's super easy to get stuck in between like trees or rocks or in a hole or between walls and dirt. Like in this clip here, I literally just walking up to a wall, fell in some dirt, and just got stuck. Literally could not get out. The only way I found to get myself out was to orbital strike myself. And my intention was to just kill my character, and that way I could respawn. But it ended up, as you see, knocking me right out of the hole, and I was fine. And I don't have footage of this, but this did happen a couple times when I was playing with the suited bird. We had to like hit each other out of trees to get unstuck. Then I found another issue, again, when I was playing with the suited bird, where it just randomly disconnected us. Like me and Low Tech Tuck. Also, we have a Star Wars podcast. If you want to check it out, link in the description below. We were in the same server. Like, all three of us were playing. We were in the same server. And then me and Tuck were still in the same server together. And it was totally fine. But the suited bird just wasn't. It's just gone. And from his perspective, our characters died and were just gone. And we found his body. Yes, I did loot it. And we were in just two separate games. I have no idea how it happened, but it was super weird. And like, this was the second time we'd played today, and we literally only got to play one full game because of this issue. Or all the issues that I'm talking about. He got stuck in a queue, just kind of waiting and listening while Tuck and I got to play for like an hour. Sorry, buddy. And then our first actual game, this happened where it shot us into different queues. Or, like, we were already in a match together. It just split us into two separate matches, which was really weird. And then we finally got to play a match together. Oh, also, it was really weird. Like, even once he did get in, there was some trouble, like, inviting each other to the same game. Like, on my screen, it said he was offline, but on Tuck's screen, it said he was online, and we couldn't join each other's match, and we had to, like, move around different ships, and it is not a perfect game. They definitely have some work that they need to do, but these issues don't take away from the fun in any way. It is still amazing. Yes, frustrating sometimes, but still so fun. And as I'm kind of wrapping up, I also want to talk about the fact that you can name your ship, which I find so fun. For a while, my ship was the SES Herald of Family Values, and I've switched it now to the SES Eye of Judgment, which I feel kind of fits more into that like fascist, managed democracy propaganda vibe. Oh, sorry, I was about to leave. I want to talk last. This will be my last thing, I think. Microtransaction and the battle pass. From what I've seen, it looks overall pretty consumer friendly. The prices in the shop have seemed pretty cheap. Yes, you can buy their in-game credits. I think they're super credits. Their prices are pretty standard with the rest of the industry, but then actual items in the shop for those super credits have seemed cheaper. Just on what I've seen. I haven't seen anything super expensive yet, but I'm sure they will come at some point, let's just be honest. But what I really love is the battle pass. So you have two completely separate battle passes, a free and a paid for tier. I'm not sure how I feel about them having two separate battle passes instead of one battle pass that has a free and paid for tier, if that makes sense. Because on those, let's say you have the free tier, you level up 30 times, and then you decide, okay, I want to go do I'll pay for the free or the paid for battle pass, and then immediately you're already at level 30 on the paid for one. This one being separate, I don't think you can do that. I could be wrong because I haven't actually paid for it. But what I really love is the free battle pass. I believe you can get up to 750 free super credits from, which is great. Like, compare it to Fortnite, another game that I really love, where on the free battle pass tier, I think you can get 200 a season. So you have to play a whole 5 seasons before you can get the battle pass. So I think Helldivers is way more consumer friendly in that aspect. On top of that, I'm pretty sure you can just like find super credits out by like in the world playing the game. You can earn them. Not a lot, but a little bit, I believe, which I also think is really nice. And I think all games should be doing. Anyway, I couldn't be more happy to say I was wrong. This game is a ton of fun. Now, I don't typically play live service games for a long section of time. I've gotten caught up in a couple, so I don't know how long I'll be playing Helldivers 2, but I definitely think it is worth the money that I spent for it, and I really do recommend this. If you can play it and you haven't had the chance to, you totally should. Also, the Automatons have hacked our system. The only way to stop it is to hit that subscribe button. The universe and Super Earth depends on you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Mother Goose out.